Tick number 2, simplicity beats complexity. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, because a complex plan will not be followed. If it's so hard and complicated with so many factors, you're not going to follow it. Also remember that more data does not mean better decisions. Right data means better decisions. Let's look at this in more detail. First of all, many financial institutions and advisors will have a long financial plan with a lot of detail. It feels powerful. It feels impressive. The financial institution wants to do it, so they cover all bases. But is that the best financial plan for you? If it's complex, it has to be done with someone else, how are you going to execute that? You need a plan that's simple for you so that you can follow it. Now, you can still do their plan, fine, but you need your simple plan that you're going to follow. Now, studies have shown, it's pretty amazing, that when you give people more and more information before they make a decision, their confidence level rises, but the decision-making doesn't change. This is important because the world is full of information, particularly the financial world. We're getting bombarded by newspapers, magazines, TV, looking at the stock market, all of this information. But think about it this way. Imagine you want to cross the road. We do it every day. How much information is there? A huge amount. First, there's a billboard across the road. You're looking at that. Your friend is next to you, talking to you. You're looking to them. Your phone rings and you're answering your phone, or you're doing a text. Your friend's on the other side saying, "Come." This is all information. But the only information that matters when you're crossing that road is whether there is a bus coming in your lane and you're going to get hit by it. It doesn't matter that you have all the information and you've processed it. You need to process the most important information, and that is critical. Let's talk about stocks for a moment. When we talk about stocks, we really have two options. One option is to own one or two stocks, and another option is to own all stocks, or to be somewhere in between. Now, when we own one or two stocks, we are exposing ourselves to what we call stock market risk and company-specific risk. Company-specific risk is simply that the company's share price could collapse. Oh, I've heard it so many times. I've talked to people over the years, and what do they say to me? "Oh, I bought this stock. My friends told me it was really great. So I took all the cash I had in my bank and I put it in this stock. And what happened? And it collapsed. I'm never going to invest in the stock market again." So they completely exposed themselves to company-specific risk. This is unnecessary risk that you're not going to be rewarded for. The world doesn't care that you don't know, that you're taking on excessive risk. But if you were to own all stocks, then company-specific risk would be gone, because that company would go bust, but another company would boom. So the only risk that you'd be exposed to at that point is the stock market risk, that the market goes up and down. So this is critical information as you look at building a portfolio of stocks. So if holding one stock is one of the most risky things you can do in the stock market, what would be the lowest risk thing? Of course, owning all stocks. And so you want to pick somewhere between one or two stocks and all stocks. Where is that perfect point to own? Because you want to balance risk and return. You see, if you're a successful investor, you have a methodology. Maybe your methodology is, I like to buy low PE and high return on equity companies. And you sort every company in the market by these two ratings. to come up with the most attractive companies on these two ratings. That's your methodology. And at the top of your list are the most attractive for your methodology. So, once you get this list, then you say, I'll just buy the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they perfectly fit my methodology. But if you were to buy 10 or 20 or 30 from that list, you are moving away from your methodology. And if your methodology works, that's going to hurt your returns. But if you hold, let's say, 100 stocks or all stocks in the market, you don't get the benefit of your methodology because there is no more methodology left. So these are the risk and return factors that we have to balance. And basically, what is that right number? My own academic research that I've done on this subject and my own experience on it tells me that if you were going to pick stocks on your own and build your own portfolio, you should own about 10 stocks. That way you will be true to your methodology and have a chance of outperforming. But you will also have reduced most of the unnecessary company-specific risk. Is it clear? Now, so hold 10. Of course, that brings a lot of complexity. You say, wait a minute, Andrew, you're talking about keeping it simple. Now I got to buy 10 stocks? It brings complexity. Like, how do you find these stocks? How are you going to monitor them? You're going to have to watch the news. You're going to have to follow the quarterly results. How will you know when to sell them when they start collapsing? You're going to be like a fund manager. Now, some people want to become a fund manager or are a fund manager because it's what they love to do. But not everybody loves to do that. And therefore, this adds a huge amount of complexity. And it adds complexity for my 5 nieces because they don't want to pick stocks. So, we have to consider that if we look at this, the most important thing to learn from this tick in our clock, which is to keep it simple, is that owning 10 stocks reduces risk just like wearing a seatbelt reduces risk in a car. Imagine I came from Mars and I came down to Earth and I went around and I went to the road and I saw a car and I asked the guy, can I drive this car? He said, sure, come in. He said, that's the gas, that's the brake, that's the steering wheel, and I fly down the road. I go as fast as I can and I hit a tree. And the thing that I didn't know was what was that thing that goes over my shoulder and buckles in here? That's the seatbelt. But I didn't know because I'm from Mars. But the other guy knew. He had a seatbelt on because he's from Earth. So when we crash, what happens to me? Boom, through the window, I'm dead. Did the world care that I didn't know what a seatbelt was? The world doesn't care if you take unnecessary risk. So you need to think of owning 10 stocks is like a seatbelt in a car. Now, let's continue. There is an interesting study that was done in the U.S. in 2008, and they looked at individuals to ask the question, how many stocks do they have in their portfolio? Well, you now know that you should not have 1 or 2, right? And you're probably not going to have 100. What point does the average investor have? Remember, there has been academic research on this subject, specifically the number of stocks to hold, for now almost 40 years. It's free, it's rigorous, it's available to everybody. So everybody could know what the seatbelt is. But does everybody wear a seatbelt? And here's what they found in this study. Almost 50% of people only own 2 stocks. If we looked at a situation of owning, let's say, 5 stocks, 75% of people only own 5 stocks. Most people in the stock market do not have their seatbelt on, but you, from today forward, will wear your seatbelt, correct? Great. Now, this section, this tick, was about simplicity. But we end with complexity. How do I have time to manage these 10 stocks? It's not simple for most people. We're going to solve this problem as we move forward.